Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to WishwaTalks. My name is Mani. Thank you all for attending today's event. A warm welcome back to those of you who have attended a WishwaTalk before. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, here's a little bit about us. WishwaTalks is an initiative by Wishwa.org. Wishwa.org is an online platform for everyday change makers and social champions. It's a crowdfunding and crowdsourcing platform that is aimed at helping anyone find the support they need in their efforts and endeavors to solve problems not just for themselves, but for others, and in the process, make the world a better place. Wishwa Talks are a series of weekly webinars hosted every Saturday that are focused on gaining in-depth knowledge from the experts on a wide range of topics that are pertinent to the current context. Today's Wishwa Talk is brought to you in collaboration with Akash Ganga Trust's Rain Center, which is a Chennai-based one-stop information center for helping the general public know about rainwater harvesting and to implement the same in buildings. Other activities of the Rain Center include conducting periodic free awareness programs on rainwater harvesting for school and college students with video presentations and free workshops for builders and plumbers. And I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today, the director of Akash Ganga Trust Rain Center, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. Dr. Raghavan has a PhD in physics from Madras University, and since 1995, he has been involved in a door-to-door campaign in Chennai city, trying to create awareness among the residents regarding the importance of rainwater harvesting to augment their existing sources, as well as to sustain the precious groundwater resource. He has also helped many residents of Chennai to implement rainwater harvesting in their respective premises with the help of trained plumbers and masons. In 2001, he was included in the high-level committee formed by the Department of Municipal Administration and Water Supply, Government of Tamil Nadu, to promote, propagate, and popularize rainwater harvesting in the entire state. The government, on the recommendation of this committee, made rainwater harvesting compulsory in all existing buildings, and this law came into effect in October 2002. Also in 2002, he was made the first trustee of Akash Ganga Trust, a not-for-profit, non-governmental organization formed by a few like-minded people of Chennai concerned about water. The Rain Center was set up by this trust. In 2003, he was selected as an Ashoka Fellow by a US-based non-profit organization called Ashoka Innovators for the public appreciating efforts to promote rainwater harvesting in Chennai city. He was selected for the Harmony Silver Award in 2010 by the Harmony of Silvers Foundation, a non-government organization founded in 2004 by Tina Anil Ambani. The government of NCT of Delhi engaged his services as an invitee to offer service and advice on rainwater harvesting with the cabinet decision dated 16 July 2015. He has been serving as a member of the Sustainable Water Security Mission under the chairmanship of the Principal Secretary, Municipal Administration and Water Supply Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, since 2015. Now, today he's going to be talking to us about the importance of rainwater harvesting in urban areas and how we can take little steps to reduce the burden on the water table and protect our water resources for future generations. Now, before we get started, I'd like to mention that our speaker will be taking questions from you after his main talk. So please raise a hand or ask your questions in the chat, and we will take them one after the other. Now, without further ado, if I may please ask Dr. Raghavan, please start today's talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening to all the participants. So let me straight away go to my presentation because I have been given very little time to talk about rainwater harvesting. So let me go to the hope you are able to see my slides.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
This is going to be my topic for the evening, with particular reference to urban areas. These are some of the details of our Rain Center. We have a website called raincenter.net. I have my email ID is also mentioned there. My mobile number is mentioned there. This is the photograph of the Rain Center, which is located in Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu. Rain Center is a one-stop information and assistance center for rainwater harvesting. Rain Center should be thought of as bridges connecting people with rainwater harvesting. People who did not know whom to contact to implement harvesting in their respective homes, how much it would cost, what does it mean, etc. The answer comes from the rain center. So rain centers are very, very important in almost every town or city, particularly in capital cities and district capitals and so on. This is the only way you can popularize and promote rainwater harvesting in urban areas. And I'm very happy to tell you that our rain center is the first one in the entire country and was set up in Chennai. It was inaugurated by our late Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Madam Jayalalitha, in August 2002. These are a couple of photographs of the inauguration. These are the activities of the rain center. First and most important thing is to create awareness about rainwater harvesting among various sections of the society, starting from school children, college students, architects, builders, engineers, planners, NGOs, and so on. So school children come to our rain center and learn about harvesting, or we go to the schools and talk to them about the importance of rainwater harvesting. So awareness raising is one important activity. The next one is we help people to implement rainwater harvesting in their respective homes. All they have to do is to call us and leave their address, and we will send our resource person to the respective home and then design a suitable system for them and also give a cost estimate as to how much it would cost. This advice comes free. We don't charge anything for the advice. Later on, if they want to implement it, they will have to shell out the amount. Then we carry out periodic surveys and studies, everything related to rainwater harvesting, its impact, its compliance, how the groundwater is improved, etc. These are school children at the rain center. And we have a lot of posters inside the rain center that people can come and see how to harvest if it's an independent house or a multi-storied apartment complex and so on. There are several such posters. What are the correct structures? What are the wrong structures? And we have a working model to tell people where it rains, how it is brought down by the pipes, and how do you harvest. Yeah. So let me go to the urban scenario. Almost all the cities in India face the dual problem of floods during monsoon and drought during summer months. We see this happening year after year. We see photographs appearing in newspapers about floods. And this is what you see during summer months. People trying to collect at least one pot full of water from that tanker which is standing there. So if we carefully analyze the reasons for both floods and drought, so let me take floods. The floods occur in urban areas mainly because of shrinking of open spaces. We no longer have open spaces in cities. Whatever space we have, we fill it up with garbage. Whatever ponds and lakes we had, we have filled it up with garbage and then try to construct either an office or a hospital or a college or a bus stop and so on. This is true of every city in India. And Chennai is no different from that. And the other important reason for floods is the indiscriminate paving that we are all fond of. We want to pave everywhere. We don't even leave an inch of soil for rainwater to percolate. Therefore, it gets flooded. On the other hand, if you take drought, there's overexploitation of water sources. The demand keeps increasing in cities all the time, whereas the supply remains the same. And water being taken for granted by urbanites, this indifferent attitude. And there's a lack of awareness among the urban residents about groundwater and rainwater. They think these two are two different sources. This is not true. So if you want to solve these two problems, the only answer to both urban floods and droughts is rainwater harvesting. Unfortunately, rainwater harvesting has not been understood by a large section of our society. They consider rainwater harvesting as an alternative to other sources of water, such as municipal water, water from lakes, etc. So this is incorrect. Everything is only rainwater. So this lack of understanding has led to lack of involvement by the citizens in harvesting rain. And in Chennai, you will be surprised that municipal water is not metered. And therefore, we are not able to popularize rainwater harvesting. If only it is metered, then people will give more importance to groundwater. And then to sustain it, they will try to harvest rain. But that's not at all happening in Chennai city. So I'll explain the way we at the Rain Center have understood it. The earth gets water either from melting of ice or rain. No other way earth gets water. In India, it's mostly from rain, barring a few states in North India. The remaining 30 odd states in India gets its fresh water only from rain. We should realize that rain is the predominant source of all fresh water on earth, and both Chennai and Tamil Nadu are not rain starved. What do I mean by that? Take the area of Chennai, which is called the extended area of Chennai, which is 426 square kilometers, and the average annual rainfall of Chennai is 1.4 meters. If you multiply these two, this is the amount of water that you get from rain. Huge number. And if you divide it by the population of Chennai, which is 10 million, and by the number of days in a year, which is 365, the answer that you get is 163. So what does it mean? It means that every citizen living in Chennai can get 163 liters of water every day from rain alone. This tells you how much potential we have. Not that you will be able to harvest the entire quantity of rain that falls on Chennai, but at least it tells you we are not rain starved. Nevertheless, we are water starved. So it rains only for a few days in a year. We all know that. So unless we collect that rain, we will run out of water for the rest of the year. So this is what rainwater harvesting is all about. So key word to sustainable water management is rainwater harvesting. And rainwater harvesting is not an option. People think they can either do it or not do it, which is not true at all. You have an open well at home or a bore well at home, you will have to necessarily harvest rain that is falling on top of you if you want to sustain your groundwater source. It is not an alternative nor a new technology. But the only way to sustain both our surface and subsoil water. Why should we harvest rain? So these are 4 important reasons why we should harvest rain. As I told you earlier, rain is the predominant source of fresh water on earth, and cities are not rain starved. In fact, Chennai's rainfall is more than the country's average. So I don't see why people should not harvest it. So it rains only for a few days. It's called rainy days. And this data is available in the IMD website. You click on any city, you will get the average annual rainfall and also the number of days it rains in that particular city. And the last one, which is applicable only to coastal cities like Chennai, what is not harvested runs off to the sea and gets wasted. This flow chart probably tells you everything about rainwater harvesting. You can harvest rain only in 2 ways. One is you can collect rainwater in a plastic tank or a masonry tank for immediate use. The entire quantity is yours. Harvested water is yours. And the other option is to put it into the soil in order to sustain your groundwater source. This is called groundwater recharge. This is relevant in both villages as well as cities. Two levels, macro and micro. So what do I mean by that? In public spaces as well as in private spaces. So where is collection? The first option is relevant. In places where there is no metro water supply or municipal supply, or which is inadequate, and where groundwater is very bad, you would like to collect some rainwater on a rainy day, and where water is outsourced. In these three places, collection becomes more relevant than recharge. And where is recharge relevant? In places where the quality of groundwater is not bad, I would like to sustain it or improve it, and where the soil is reasonably permeable. It should not be hard rock nor clay. It should be at least sandy, silty, or gravelly, or a mixture of all this. And then the pre-monsoon water table is low. So in these three places, recharge becomes more relevant. Yeah. So I will not spend much time talking about harvesting in rural areas, which is mostly traditional. I will just confine myself to rainwater harvesting in urban areas, which is relatively new. Because the concept of a city itself is quite new, since it is all built up. Whereas in rural areas, it's all open spaces where there's a certain amount of natural recharge always happening. And rainwater harvesting is the responsibility of both the society and the state, the citizens and the government. So what is the role of the society? Yes, we all know, suppose you are living in an independent house or an apartment complex, it rains only on two places. One is the rooftop, the other is all around the built up area, which could be a garden area, which could be a driveway. So this is what is called a setback. Rain falling on both these places will have to be harvested. The first one is called rooftop harvesting. The other is called the driveway runoff harvesting. You should ensure that not a drop of rainwater falling within your premises goes to the sewer, not to the street. So let me talk about the rain falling on the roof. So this can be collected in a sump, as I told you earlier, which is a masonry tank. A sump is nothing but a below ground level tank, masonry tank, through a first flush, because people would like to filter the water that is falling on the rooftop. It might have some dirt that will have to be filtered. That is what a first flush does. What is a first flush? This is the rooftop. People who haven't seen a rooftop, this is what it is. And these are the pipes that bring down rain from the roof. So methods of rooftop harvesting. So we'll have to interconnect the pipes and lead it to a sump through a first flush / filter. I'll show you what a first flush is. And the overflow to an open well. It's called Bavi, I think, in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. This is what a first flush is. Because it's the first rain which falls on the roof, brings down all the dirt from the roof. So what we do is, we put a dummy pipe. The Pipe on the left is a dummy pipe. Dummy meaning empty pipe. We close it at the bottom with a wheel valve. So the dirty water which comes on first is collected in this pipe up to this point, right? And then water starts flowing through this pipe. So you have removed some dirty water, which is as good as filtering it. And then this can be led to a sump in case you want to collect rainwater for immediate use. And we have this photograph is from the rain center, Chennai. And we have a very big sump here. It is 50,000 liters. So we are collecting almost the entire quantity of rain that is falling on the roof. This is the old way of filtering. You have a sand filter. You have two layers of pebbles. Down one is the pebble layer. In between you have some sand, just be coarse sand. And then rain falls here, gets filtered, and then flows through this pipe either to your sump or to your dug well. But the point is, if there is heavy rain, then this will start overflowing from top. Which means not much water is either going to your dug well or to your sump. So we don't generally promote this kind of filters because of wastage of water. A first flush, both are meant to remove, both filters and first flush are meant to remove suspended impurities found on the roof. A first flush is better than an improperly designed sand filter. It's a simple drawing as to how you interconnect rooftop pipes, lead it to a filter, and then you, if you want, you collect it in a sump. The overflow, the sump will anyway get full with the amount of rain that we get. So once it gets filled up, the overflow, you can lead it to an open well if there is one at home. If you don't want to collect rainwater in a sump, nor do you have an open well, then what do? You should put it into the soil through properly designed recharge wells. So what is a recharge well? This is a recharge well. These are made out of cement rings which are readily available in the market. Each one is a ring. It's a cement ring. Depth of this well is 15 feet. And the diameter varies from 3 to 5 feet. 3, 4, 5, and even 6. These rings are readily available in the market. So what you do is you create an empty cylinder within the soil and then start inserting these rings one after another. So this is called a recharge well. And you don't fill it up with anything. You should leave this recharge well empty. Because people make the mistake of filling it up. Because groundwater recharge, when you want to put rainwater into the soil, you need not filter it. Soil will take care of it. These are the rings. People are lowering the rings into the empty cylinder that they have excavated one after another. There's another picture of a recharge well being made. Yeah, this is another structure, the recharge structure, which is not a good one. But this is popular among the plumbers. What they do is they simply make a borehole and then insert a PVC pipe, slotted PVC pipe. It's only 6 inches diameter. This is not a good structure because once the pipe gets clogged because of silt, then you cannot clean it. Whereas in my recharge well, a person can get in, clean it up, and then come out. whereas that is not possible here. Secondly, the amount of water that it can take in is much less than what a recharge well can take. In that sense, this is not a good structure. Yeah. So now coming to driveway runoff, the rain that is falling all around the built-up area. So this should not be collected in a sump. This should be used only for groundwater recharge and not for immediate use. Methods of driveway runoff harvesting: the rain that falls all around the built-up area invariably runs off to the street, particularly in multi-storied apartment complexes, and gets wasted. Not only gets wasted, it floods the streets. This can be intercepted near the gate by what is called a gutter. I'll show you a picture of that, and injected into a recharge well. See, this is the gutter that I'm talking about. This is near the gate. Across the width of the gate, you construct a gutter. So this is the driveway. The rain falling here comes and falls into the gutter through these holes. And then we take it to a recharge well, which is here. So this is the driveway runoff harvesting. This is how a gutter will look like when you open the lid. You put a thick lid on top so that even vehicles can go on top. Nothing will happen. If you want to clean it, you just remove the slabs, clean it, and then put them back. Yeah. What did the Tamil Nadu government do in the past to promote rainwater harvesting? Our Honorable Chief Minister Jayalalitha was very passionate about rainwater harvesting. And Tamil Nadu and Chennai were the role models for rainwater harvesting. In fact, both Sri Lanka and Delhi wanted to replicate our model. We have set up rain centers in Colombo as well as in New Delhi to popularize rainwater harvesting. And they have also made it compulsory. They have brought in a law making harvesting compulsory, like what we did in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is the first state in the entire country to make harvesting compulsory in all buildings, whether it is old or new. This law came into effect in October 2002. The deadline was August 2003. People are given 1 year time to complete it. And people were threatened that if you don't implement harvesting, their electricity would be cut, the municipal water will be cut, and so on. Yeah. So what happened after that? What can harvesting do to a city? It can increase the groundwater level and also improve its quality, so as to make us less dependent on municipal supply. We can depend on our groundwater itself and make us self-sufficient in water. This happened in Chennai. As I told you, 2003 August was the deadline, but 2003 and 4 monsoons failed in Chennai, whereas 2005 we had a record rainfall. Our annual rainfall is 1.4 meters, annual average rainfall, and in 2005 it was 2.5 meters, almost double. So the rain center did a survey to find out what has been the impact of harvesting. We found out that the groundwater levels had gone up by 20 feet, a phenomenal rise in groundwater level. And the quality also improved naturally. This was also proved by the temple tanks that we have in Chennai. There are something like 39 temple tanks within Chennai city. All of them were dry and they were being used as a playground. This is a photograph of a temple tank in Chennai city. You You see people playing cricket. This was before 2005. After 2006, the same tank, same temple tank looked like this. Now, unless the groundwater level rises, you cannot see water within a temple tank. What should be the role of the state in future? Make sincere attempts to harvest the urban runoff. Rain that is falling on public roads not being harvested as of now. We construct what are called stormwater drains on either one side or both sides of the road and dump all the rainwater that's falling on the roads into the ocean. That should not be done. And we have several water bodies still in place, which are traditional water bodies. They will have to be recovered, repaired, rejuvenated, and so on. It is true of our neighboring districts also. There are 3,000 water bodies. You call them cherus, we call them eris in Tamil. What I now started doing is to sink recharge wells on the road itself. Roads which are without stormwater drains. And with stormwater drains, you do a different trick. See, this is a recharge well on the road. There used to be waterlogging in this area. Once we started doing this, there is no flooding, no inundation, no waterlogging, nothing. And this is a recharge well being made on the road, on the public road. So the Chennai Corporation is willing to give permission for us to do all this. Suppose there is a stormwater drain already existing. What you do is you just intercept the flow by means of a baffle wall and take it to a recharge well. If we are digging a recharge well inside the stormwater drain, this is a stormwater drain. Concluding remarks, I would like to spend a couple of minutes on the importance of dug wells, open wells. They are called Bavi in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. See, people don't realize that our subsoil is in two discontinuous layers, separated by hard rock formation. There is one groundwater source above hard rock and one groundwater source within hard rock. So the open wells tap the shallow layer, which is on top, and the bore wells tap the deep layer. People are blindly closing open wells in Chennai city and sinking bore wells without realizing that bore wells are not a sustainable source, whereas open wells are. See, all your harvesting will only take rainwater up to this level. So this gets filled up, whereas this doesn't get filled up. So essentially, you are putting money in one bank and trying to withdraw it from some other bank. So that is not possible because we don't have an ATM for water. So we are now promoting digging of open wells in Chennai city. It is very, very important. To extract water from the shallow source during monsoon and for a few months thereafter, after it gets exhausted, tap water from the deep aquifer through a bore well. The first one is through open wells, the second one is through bore wells. An open well is a sustainable groundwater source. So you can see this is a cheru. You can see a well here. The water will be the same. Water level will be the same in both these places. So this is a good source, a sustainable source. If this cheru gets water, this well will automatically get water. So till now the slogan has been making water everybody's business. From now on the slogan will have to be extended. Making not only water but also rainwater harvesting everybody's business. No more lip service to water and harvesting. Water and rain will have to be understood beyond words. Water management should no longer be just a bureaucratic exercise. nor an academic one. It should be a people's movement. So love water and rain the way we love our children. I'll just show a few cartoons and then finish my talk. Thank you. Catch rain, it's free.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raghavan. That was really insightful and I think very pertinent to where we are currently, I think, as a species. Before we go on to taking some questions from the audience, I will just go through a few things. I would like to request the audience, please, to take 30 seconds to answer a little poll for us. The purpose of the poll is to understand you a little better and see if we can curate topics better for you. So my team will be sharing a poll. It'll pop up. Please do take 30 seconds to answer that. Really appreciate it. As you're answering the poll, we're very proud to announce that the first two fundraisers are up and live on our platform, wishwa.org. We currently have two fundraisers on the platform. The first one is by Roshni Trust, a Hyderabad-based mental health NGO. Roshni is raising funds to help them in their new initiative called Psychiatry at Your Doorstep. Roshni is raising funds to help them take psychiatry to those people that are unable to leave their homes for whatever reason to get the help that they need. The second fundraiser is by Auroville Foundation, an NGO based in Auroville near Pondicherry that is working towards expanding the green cover across the region by reintroducing indigenous tree species to their native regions. Auroville Foundation is looking to raise funds for equipment and mechanical aids that can help make their work easier, work which they've been doing tediously by hand for decades, so far having planted hundreds of acres of lush forest in what used to be dry, drought-stricken lands. Please follow the link in the chat box. We will be sharing the link to these fundraisers. We request you to contribute as much or as little as you can, because every little will go a very long way in helping these NGOs continue the wonderful work that they've been doing in making the world a better place for us and our children. Thank you for your support. Dr. Raghavan, sir, if you don't mind, could we take some questions?
Yeah, of course.
So one of the questions, I know your talk today is focused on urban areas, but there's a question regarding rural areas and how this approach might be a little different when considering rural areas. If you could please talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, as I told you, in rural areas, it's mostly traditional harvesting. In fact, we need not teach them what harvesting is. They know much more than an urban resident about the importance of water, importance of rain. Because see, our country is agricultural country, so we need water for agriculture. So our ancestors have created wonderful water bodies. As I told you, they are called cherus in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. It's called Eris in Tamil Nadu. It's called Keres in Karnataka. So all you have to do is to try to revive them. See, what happened was, these irrigation tanks, we call them irrigation tanks, were maintained by the village community traditionally. But during the British rule that we had for about 300 odd years, the Britishers took away the right to manage their water bodies from the residents and said, and created a department called Public Works Department, which they said will maintain these water bodies. So the rural people lost interest in their own water body. And that is why they are in a very bad shape now. So all you have to do is to revive the water body. You need not do anything new in rural areas. All you have to do is to revive the traditional irrigation tanks. There are drinking water bodies. We call them Uranis in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure I do not know what the name is in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. You should just, all you have to do is to revive them, identify them, find out in what bad shape it is now, and what can be done to improve them. That is the only thing they should try to do. This groundwater recharge, the way we do it in cities, is not relevant there because it's all open space there. Whereas in cities, it's all built up. So water is not able to percolate into the soil. Whereas that is happening naturally in rural areas. All you have to do is to revive them and bring them back to their past glory.
Thank you so much, sir. I've heard experts. So I have a small piece of land here in the outskirts of Hyderabad, and where we have very little groundwater. I'm talking a quarter inch, very deep down. And I've had experts tell me to dig a sort of a well around my bore well, the pipe that juts out, to try and recharge that well. Is that advisable? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a risky thing, but still advisable. And particularly defunct borewells, they can try this. It may come back alive.
Right.
Because what is happening is, see, in borewells, the most important point is that there is something called casing pipe, which is inserted into a borewell.
Right.
That casing pipe will have to be a slotted pipe. Only then it will connect the shallow layer with the deep layer. Otherwise, it's something like closing your mouth and pouring water into your mouth. This will never happen. So they should ensure that slotted casing pipes are there in place. Then they can dig a recharge well around a borewell. Make some. If there are no slots, they can make slots. But if there are already slots, then allow rainwater to fall into the outer well, which will slowly move to the borewell. So that's not a bad idea, but it's a slightly risky business because the borewell may get silted up.
Right. And end up getting clogged.
Yeah, you are right.
So, sir, I have another question. Of course, a lot of the questions here are regarding who to reach out to in Hyderabad or other cities. And if the Rain Center Chennai can guide people in case they want information or guidance in implementing rainwater harvesting within their own premises, would it be okay to reach out to the Rain Center Chennai, and then would you be able to guide them?
The point is, see, if it's a large gated community or a multi-story with several dwelling units, we don't mind visiting. But then we cannot bring our workforce there and implement.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a request here,
Yeah.
Dr. Sekhar. Namaste, this is Srivani here. Thank you so much for being here on my request.
Yeah, namaste.
So Vishwa Foundation would like to partner with you so that at least 100 water harvesting pits are dug in Hyderabad. We are ready to give you all financial support or people support that you require to make it available in Hyderabad. So please let us know if you could do something about it.
Of course, I'll be extremely happy to work with you. So having said that, see, my simple modest suggestion is, see if you can set up a rain center in Hyderabad. Either you can do it yourself or you can encourage some of the NGOs who are involved in water management to start a rain center. Let them register a trust to create a rain center. Then we can work with them, work with you. We can see, the point is, I strongly believe in act locally, though want to think globally. Because the well diggers are there everywhere. They are called Odda communities. And they mostly speak Telugu. So I'm sure you must be finding them there. So we'll train them. We'll show them a lot of video clips, video films, and so on. And I can send a team from here to train them, but not to execute on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, the first few recharge wells we'll make for you. Then you can pick it up and then start doing it yourself. And designing is a bit tricky. It's a multi-storied apartment complex. Designing is very crucial. Designing a suitable harvesting system for a multi-storied complex involves a bit intuition and so on. So I can train a group of youngsters from there. So we can, train them, then they can become trainers. such things can be worked out, madam. So I am all for it.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to start an NGO or who already has an NGO who would like support from Dr. Shekhar Raghavan and from Vishwa to make this a reality where, you know, within 5 years, we can say that Hyderabad's water levels have gone up by another 20 feet or 30 feet. Because just when 15 years ago, the water levels, if you dug up a bore, was at 300 feet. Today, we need to dig up 1,000 feet. And this is the need of the hour. If there is anyone in the audience, please, or anybody you know, any NGOs that you know, or people that you know around you who are interested in this, Vishwa and Dr. Shekhar Raghavan are readily there to support you. And even if there is no one, please note, Dr. Shekhar Raghavan, we are there. We will ourselves train some engineers to run this from the foundation until somebody in Hyderabad is ready to take over. The reason is today people don't know whom to believe. And the work ethics of people out here, the plumbers, is come down so much. You know, everybody just wants to fleece money without the work being done properly. People like you who know the subject, you know, we feel more
Confident.
Yeah, confident. We can come to you because you have a credibility out there. And the reason we wanted it here is because of that credibility. Because we can come and say, hey, listen, this is someone who has done this kind of work in Chennai and has made a difference, and he knows what he's talking about and he knows how to do it. And under him are these 6 engineers who are trained. And this is how we will support them.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm willing to share anything that we have with you.
Thank you so much, sir. And to add to what Mrs. Shivani and Dr. Raghavan are saying, we are talking about Hyderabad, we're talking about Chennai, but I know we have the audience from all over the country and perhaps elsewhere. These are things that you can take up. At Vishwa, we like to lead by example. So we don't wait for other people to take these initiatives. We try to do it ourselves. But please take up these causes on your own, in your own towns, in your own cities. And if you ever need help, our contact details are in the chat box. Please do reach out to us. And together we can solve all these problems. Which leads me to my next question, speaking of problems. Sir, a couple of years ago, in fact, for the past few years, there's been a lot of talk about the big metropolitan cities of India running out of potable water in our lifetimes. And this is extremely, I think it's a very big problem that is being swept under the rug. So could you speak a little to that? How severe is this crisis that we are looking at?
No, but it's not as serious as it is being projected. See, this Niti Aayog came out with a report that 21 cities in India is going to run out of water in 2025 and so on. I mean, but which is not true. See, the point is when we talk of groundwater depletion, people fail to understand that the shallow groundwater is there in plenty. It's only the deep groundwater that has gone dry. That is why we are trying to revive the culture of open wells. I'm sure every city must have had open wells in the past. So that are completely being ignored. And sorry to say, the builders are the culprits in Chennai. When they develop a plot, the first thing they do is to close an open well. I don't know what for. So they are only looking at the piece of land that is on top of the open well, which is unfair. The open well, is so precious. And you can see open wells no longer have a parapet wall and all that like olden days. It is flush to the ground. You can have your cars parked on top of that. You can have vehicles moving on top of that. Absolutely no problem. So this kind of awareness, a lot of awareness building will have to be done. In fact, we do exclusively workshops for architects and builders. Because whenever we talk of awareness, we only go to the common man walking on the street and say harvest rain. Who is to create awareness among architects, builders, media particularly? Media does not know anything about harvesting. I'm very sorry to say this. And planners, urban planners, engineers. See, unless you come to the conclusion that rainwater harvesting is not an option, you will be doing great injustice. You should think, yes, I should get involved in harvesting. So that kind of feeling should percolate into the minds of everyone.
Thank you, sir. I have one last question. Sir, rainwater harvesting, when people think about implementing such a thing, there's a preconception that my building is old. When I build a new building, I will incorporate it, I will implement it. So what about existing buildings? What is, because it's cost prohibitive is what the common public thinks. So how can we implement these in existing buildings? And what's a good way to go about it?
No. In Chennai, we do it only in existing buildings, most of it. Why most? Almost 95% is only retrofitting. See, new builders don't come to us. Very rarely they come. It's only the old buildings they call us. So it can be done. It's absolutely no problem. It's a myth that it cannot be done in an old building. But if they're going to demolish that building in the next 1 or 2 years, then it's not worth spending money. Then let him demolish it. Let him come up with a new building. And it's very simple to design it at the time of construction. So that should be encouraged. Like plan it when you're building your house. New ones. The old ones, it can be done. There's absolutely no problem. Most of it in Chennai is only old buildings.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, sir. You were mentioning paving being one of the big issues in urban cities. But when we look at some of these Western European cities, take London, for example, it's harder to find a piece of soil in cities such as those. But they don't experience the same level of flooding that some of the Indian metros do. And why do you think that could be?
No, I don't agree with you. In fact, I have seen a lot of photographs of London getting flooded. So it does get flooded. But then the drainage system is perfect. Whereas our drainage system is not perfect. We construct stormwater drains as a flood mitigation measure. But that doesn't work effectively. It is not being desilted, it's not being cleaned for years. Whereas they are conscious about that. See, once Thames was in such a big mess. I think in the last 3 decades or so, they have cleaned it up. So that political will is very important. Another thing is, we should not compare a Western country with India. Because in Western countries, it is the state which supplies water. You cannot dig a bore well or an open well in your house. See, I have been to the US, I've been to Canada and so on. It's only the state which supplies water to you. So there is no question of me having an open well at home. So there is no need for sustaining it. Harvesting may not make sense in Western countries, but it does make sense in countries like India.
We have one question from the audience, sir. What do you think are some of the challenges or some of the blockers for governments to take this cause up and enforce it, like Chennai has done? What do you think is preventing more state governments from doing this?
That's a good question for which I don't have an answer. And even if I have one, I may not be able to tell you all that in an open meeting like this. See, the political will is very, very important. See, when I met Delhi Chief Minister, who invited us to help them in popularizing harvesting, I told him that there should be political will. He said, yes, it is there, you can take it. But then that is not available in a sustained manner. This chief minister may have it, the other chief minister may not have it. See, they have several other priorities. And any government wants only mega projects. They want to bring water from Ganges or Himalayas. They are not looking at the rain that is falling on our heads. So they don't want simple solutions. They want very expensive solutions. They can go to World Bank and get a lot of loan and make huge money.
Can I
See,
say?
for example,
Can I
for
say
example, yeah, tell me.
something here? One of my uncles was a chief engineer,
Hmm.
and he was a chief engineer probably 30 years ago. And I was listening to him, and Arthur Cotton is respected a lot in Andhra. If
Even
to,
in Tamil Nadu.
if yeah, if East Godavari, West Godavari, Krishna are doing well, it is because in those days when the Britishers were taking the revenue from these farmers, Arthur Cotton said, let us dig a canal instead of having one farming crop a year, we will take two. And then he said, from the taxes, we will collect the costs of the barrage that they are building. So immediately it was put to the British Parliament and it was approved. And in the first year, they collected the entire costs of the barrages.
Hmm.
And then he was telling me interestingly that today we are trying to bring water, as you rightly said, from the Ganges and from the Himalayas. So they're trying to get water from the Godavari and Krishna up to all the districts, Karnool, all the corner districts where there is very little water. Now, what are they bringing this water for? If they're bringing it for drinking water, okay, there is a reason to hear it. But they're trying to bring this water for irrigation. So what happens when they're trying to bring water for irrigation? It is economically unviable. The same lands which can be, probably used for solar, so for solar or for industry or for anything else, you're trying to make an investment which has no returns for political reasons. And this really doesn't work. But one thing good is recently we had one chief minister who has dug up all the existing tanks were desilted in Telangana. And that was something we should appreciate. And I've also noticed that, a lot of tanks in the villages that were built probably at the time of Krishnadeva Raya and all also have been closed to make parks or to make fishing tanks. The understanding, the knowledge about environment, the awareness about environment is very limited. We need people like you to reach out, because even when Vishwa is trying to bring about awareness in ecology or the environment, the response is very limited. People are neither interested nor do they know how dangerous the situation is and where we are heading. So we need people like you to bring out the facts and tell that this is what is right and this is what is not right. Yes, it might cost us a little bit, but we need to do it. Yeah.
You're right. I'll give you another example from Chennai. We dump large quantities of rainwater into the sea and then take sea water, make it into fresh water and supply it to the citizens. Most stupid thing to do on earth. But then, that's a mega project. It involved 1,000 crores to set up a 100 MLD plant, desalination plant. What for? On the one hand, you are dumping rainwater into the sea and then taking it back from desalination. So, mega projects, they're fond of mega projects. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. So if you will allow me now, I'll hand it back to Mrs. Shivani so she can do the closing remarks. Ma'am, please.
Yeah. Before we close, is there anybody? If there's anybody who would like to ask questions after the closure of this, you can please continue asking. You can raise your hands and ask questions. So as of now, I would like to thank Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. See, it's because, each of us complain, this is not right in our society, that is not right in our society. But it is people like you who are an inspiration to us. You made a difference. You said, no, I don't need to depend on a government. I don't need to depend on anybody else. I will learn what it takes. And you have learned and you have shared your knowledge generously to so many people. Today, we request that you bring it to Hyderabad. you request to, you bring it to anybody who's interested in taking it to their towns or their cities.
That is why from day one, we made it free advice. We said we are not going to charge for our advice. Because once we start charging, then we become a consultant. Then people will hesitate to come to us. We said no. Similarly, rain center, people can simply walk in. And we were particular, it should be in a residential area rather than in a commercial area. It should be part of a house, and it is one. First floor, the owner is living, the second floor, we are there. So it should be friendly. It is for the people, by the people, and of the people. This is truly democratic. So that is what it is all about. And see, traditionally they say knowledge was never sold in countries like India. And cooked food was never sold in countries like India. Now we are selling water. See, in what a bad situation we are in. And tomorrow we are going to sell air. There are parlors for oxygen parlors coming about. Where are we going? We should go back and revive our tradition and culture and so on.
So thank you so much. Thank you to each of the members in the audience for taking an interest in bringing about awareness about ecology in our country. And we would like you to share these kind of videos or webinars that are coming from WishwaTalks to all your friends and family so that we can bring about a change in our society. We would also like to thank Wishwa team, Mr. Mani, Prerna, Akhilesh, and Jahnavi, and a lot more people behind the scenes who have made this happen and try to make it as professional as possible. Please reach out to Dr. Shekhar Raghavan from Rain Center for any information on getting harvesting done. He's highly reliable and trustworthy. And we would also like to tell you a little bit about Wishwa. Wishwa is a platform for change makers. If any of you or your friends or your family members, when they see something in and around them which they are not okay with, and they want to bring about the change, or if you know change makers around you who are making and they need support, Wishwa is the platform for them. Please ask them to come to Wishwa, raise a fundraiser if they need any support. And for those of you who would like to donate, please feel free. We have done, we have come up with two fundraisers. One is on Roshni. The difference between Wishwa and most of the crowdsourcing platforms is we are not looking at supporting just one human being. If somebody has illness in a hospital and they need 10 lakhs, they can come, they can start a fundraiser. But what is different about Wishwa is we're looking at supporting the community as a whole. Like for example, the Roshni fundraiser, they have started a new, can you just keep the slide? They have started a new fundraiser, which is talking about taking a van to the, Akhilesh, can you explain to me why this fundraiser, yes. So these people are taking a van to the slums or to the homes of people in Hyderabad and Secunderabad. They have started it. Around 48 such visits are going to be done this month. They will be going to the people who need support, and they're going to go and give them medicines. Counselors will be reaching their doorsteps, and they will be doing it. We request that people go to Roshni and reach out to Roshni and support them. Can you show the fundraiser on the website, Akhilesh? This is a fundraiser. We request you all to go there. If you all are interested in supporting, the choice is completely yours. Please feel free to support them, but because the difference is not that they're going to support one person with mental health. 48 trips, if they cover even 10 people, they're going to cover 480 people. And all they need is 1.5 lakhs per month. And with that money, they can reach out to 500 people every month. The second fundraiser that we're doing right now is with the Oro Navy, a lady who with her own hands, has made 40 acres of barren land with a team of around another 8 to 15 people, worked over the last 15 to 30 years and made this barren land into a very lush forest. And they would like to have a bobcat. It's a kind of an excavator which will help them, because right now they're also aging. They would like to, instead of using their hands and spades and tatalu to remove soil, they need to have these kind of things. If we could support them with this, it would be a great help. So thank you so much for being here once again. Namaste. Anybody would like to have questions, you're welcome to raise your hands, and you can even ask them if you want, if you don't want to put it on a chat.
One last request, those questions which have not been answered, you can send it to me through email. I will answer them.
Thank you so much, sir. To the audience, we've shared the contact details for Akash Ganga Trust Rain Center. Please do reach out to them, whatever questions that you have, as Dr. Raghavan has so generously just offered. All your questions shall be answered. Now, I don't see any more questions.
Ask me one thing, Mrs. Madhu Sharma, this was specifically done for you because you were very specific. You needed someone to support you in knowing how to do water harvesting in your apartments. So here is your answer. You have Rain Center to answer your queries. I hope it is of some support to you.
I'm extremely grateful and very, very happy that Vishwa responded so positively to what I had in mind. And I do want to take it up very seriously. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
People like you, it's not one apartments. I want to see you doing it in 100 apartments, and we are there to support.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Raghavan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It was an extremely insightful talk. Thank you for all the information you so generously shared with us.